for the final day of competition, and we're going to be looking back just a bit at what transpired on the penultimate day, where there was absolute disaster for Team Jamaica in the men's 4x100 meter heats. No such problems though for the women in their equivalent, as well as the country's 2-mile relay teams. So 3 of the 4 relay teams for Jamaica will be contesting finals on the last day of the championships. And with us to look at everything, once again, we have got David Riley, and experienced coach and national junior technical leader as well. We have got Daniel Dowie, a former national representative, and we have got with us as well at this time Bruce James. They have been here with us from the get-go. Bruce is already ready for a handover, and hopefully it will not be as disastrous as it was between Raheem Ford and Kishane Thompson on the final handover in the men's 4x100 meter heat this morning, Jamaica time. A couple of reruns are coming up as well, and we're going to be looking at that. But in terms of the baton exchange, we're going to be showing you what exactly happened on that handover between Kishane Thompson on the final leg, receiving from Raheem Ford. But before I get to that, I told you earlier, 3 of the 4 Jamaican teams have advanced. The women's sprint relay team in running order of Jodine Williams, Tia Clayton, Tina Clayton, and Janelle Smith. They clocked a season's best 41.80 seconds to win their heat. Told you about the men they failed to finish. The quartet they had there was Akeem Blake, Oblique Seville, Raheem Ford, and Kishane Thompson in that running order. Now the men's mile relay team of Bovell McPherson, Jashawn or Javon Powell, Jashawn Dennis, and Delano Kennedy clocked a season's best 2 minutes 59.13 for 4th in their heat, and they advanced as well. The women made progress also. They did a world-leading 3 minutes 22.77, the quartet of Dejanay Oakley, Stacey Ann Williams, Ornisha McGregor, and Nikisha Price in that order. Now, in terms of the baton exchange, we said this was really a letdown for Team Jamaica in the men's 4x100 meters. There was a lot of practice. Having failed to qualify, by the way, at the World Relays, the J3s made efforts to get the team into other meets and qualifying opportunities, and they did so at the London Diamond League meet, and tough luck it was at the World Championships today. A lot of training went into, or a lot of practice went into this. We're told practice went on in Italy, practice went on in Totori, practice went on in Tokyo, and the team still just could not get it right when it mattered most. In terms of the baton exchange now, there has been or have been a lot of debates whether it should have been conservative or aggressive, and I'm going to bring in David, Bruce, and Daniel here, but we're going to show you exactly what happened in that race. We're queuing it up for you to show you what happened in the 4x100 meter heat featuring Jamaica earlier today. But let me start with you, Bruce. If when you put things on paper and pencil in the medals, and if you look at even today in particular, many persons, as we look back at it here, the 4x100 meters for Jamaica, Akeem Blake.
That's the second exchange taking place there, Spencer. And now we're coming to the final exchange. And if we're going to get a freeze frame about here, is that good? Canada in lane 6 already has the baton. Is that clear to everybody? The USA, all the way out in lane 8, already has the baton, and they're not quite yet at the 20-meter mark of the 30-meter zone. That big white line there across the track indicates 100 meters from the finish line, which is 20 meters from where the outgoing athletes started running. Jamaica at this point does not yet have the baton, but is it clear? I'm hoping it's clear to everybody. The batons are already in the hand of Andre DeGrasse and Malcolm from the US. So if we move forward a little more, like on freeze frame. So they already have the batons, they're gone. Jamaica still has not passed that 20-meter mark. We have only about 8 meters left in the exchange zone.
Right.
We still do not yet have the baton. And then if we let it go again, and all the other teams, by the way, at this point already have the baton. Kishane's hand is now going up. And we're running out of real estate, because if he gets to that yellow line without it, and that's where, even if he got it at that point, it's too late.
That would have been still doom and gloom outside the 30-meter exchange zone. Before we look at the handover, David, Bruce, Daniel, I've been hearing a lot of talk about the order, the running order. Was that the best order that could have been put out? Because I know some persons think there is a fear about having Kishane handling the baton more than once in a relay. What say you, David, about the order?
Well, the other leg you could only handle the baton once would be the lead-off leg. But I think whatever the order is, it's not just usually based on what one athlete is comfortable doing.
Yeah.
It has to be what the other athletes could do and how the combination would lead to the best performance of the overall team. And again, we don't want to minimize the value of practicing and rehearsing all these things that you want to accomplish in the competition at high speed. And once you get a chance to attempt it and practice it, there's a great chance of you mastering it. So it's, regardless of what the order is, if you don't practice and practice at race speed, then you're going to, risk not being able to pass the baton.
Daniel, what was the big issue there in that botched exchange? Because some persons are saying, because at the 20-meter mark there in the exchange zone, that's where a lot of persons are saying we could be or should be conservative and make the handover. Some persons are saying be a little more aggressive. But to you, what was the big issue there, that botched exchange?
The main problem that I see is that they made contact, but when you're making the exchange, they tell us, the coaches, you don't let go until the outgoing runner has grabbed the baton, and then you release, and then you're supposed to, once you feel the baton, you grab it immediately. And I didn't see that. They made contact, and the grasp wasn't there, and so they made that contact with about 5 meters or so before the end of the zone. So the problem for me wasn't the running order. I think that the team was capable of qualifying. They made contact. It's just that they did not grab that baton. It wasn't a secure exchange.
You know what I'm going to do to make it a little easier for our viewers? I'm going to use you and David. I'm going to take you out of your seats now to have a demonstration on set, just to show our viewers, give our viewers a better idea of what
and we didn't warm up before.
I didn't warm up.
No problem with that, David. All right.
I love it.
So David is playing the role now of Raheem Ford. He's the third leg runner. Baton in right hand. Daniel is going to receive in left hand as the anchor leg runner. And David, just talk us through here now, because as I understand it, you are supposed to ensure, the onus is on you, David, to ensure the baton gets into the hand safely of Daniel, who has some critical responsibilities as well.
Right, and when I'm within passing range, I'm going to say, give a cue, and I'm going to say maybe reach or stick or whatever they have decided to use. So I say reach, she extends her arm, and if I'm not there yet, sometimes she's she's almost looking around. Once you start looking around, the hand moves and the pass becomes a little bit more difficult. So you want to keep that hand. You just do your part. You're the outgoing runner. You can't affect anything that's going on behind you. Just stick to this. Give me a clear, flat palm hand, steady, shoulder height, so I can put it there. So let's go again. And reach. And I put it.
And as you said, David, the exchange in the sprint relay is supposed to be a blind exchange, meaning you're not supposed to be looking behind.
Non-visual is the term that we use.
Non-visual.
Right. And in fact,
once you start looking behind, problems are on the horizon.
Problems. You make it a little bit more difficult for the pass to be completed successfully. And in fact, the baton should be removed or taken from the outgoing runner. So at no point should the incoming runner. So at no point should the baton ever be on the ground. It should be in somebody's hand.
And just for clarity, the blind exchange is blind to the outgoing runner, not blind to the incoming runner. The incoming runner sees everything and is aware of everything. When we say blind or non-visual,
non-visual,
for the outgoing runner.
Yeah, and as I said, when you start looking behind, serious problems are there. But it was such an excellent team on paper, Bruce. And I hear some persons saying Kishane Thompson should have done another leg, I don't know what the coaching staff, what Michael Frater was thinking.
So let's put some, I like facts, I really like facts. The fact is, we went to London and the team of Rohan Watson, who came 5th at the National Championships, handed over to Oblique Seville, who came 2nd at the National Championships, handed over to Kadrian Golson, who came 6th at the National Championships, and handed over to Kishane Thompson. That team ran 37.80 in July. We're now in September. Both Oblique and Kishane have continued running fast. We put, instead of Rohan Watson, who came 5th at trials, we put Akeem Blake on the first leg. He came third at trials. We then had the same oblique Seville down the backstretch, except he's now a 9.77 runner. And instead of Cadrian Golson on the curve, who came sixth, we put the fourth place runner, Raheem Ford, to Kishane Thompson. The team must be able to run faster than 37.80, which the team I mentioned had done in London.
How did they look to you in practice from what you would have seen?
Well, I've been sitting on set with you, Spencer, so I'm not...
You haven't seen anything?
No, other than what I've seen online and what the coaches have shared with me. Some information I did get is that Cadrian Golson, who was also practicing that third leg, seemed to have been doing a better job than Raheem Ford did in practice. But the reality is Cadrian still came sixth at trials and Raheem came fourth at trials. And I think what the coaches decided to do is have the person who finished better at trials represent.
Instead of what is happening on the day in practice, who is looking better? That's the call of the technical leader, David. You have been in that role for national junior teams to make that overarching decision, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, the coaches will be using all the information that they have on the ground there, and we trust them. I mean, the reality is that there are experts, and to think that the expertise are sitting in Kingston on a couch is crazy. I mean, those guys know what they're doing, and they have more information than we do in relation to how the athletes are looking and the comfort level that they have with the instructions that they've been given. And so it's just unfortunate that we're unable to pass the baton, and this is a very recent matter for us. We're looking more and more American than anything else. I mean, it's just not our culture, because we have such deep rooted practices with relays and so on, but we have a situation, and we need to pay attention to it, that the skills for the relays are not necessarily taught or learned by many of the athletes before they get to the senior level, because they're not necessarily from teams that run relays and run very good relays on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And so we underestimate to an extent the level of difficulty passing the baton at high speed with very small fraction of a second and a very small window to make a mistake and even bounce back from that. And it does require a lot of skill, and I need to hear that conversation, that this is a high skill task that we're undertaking, and it must be practiced, and it requires some, I would say, some experience coming in. You can't learn that on the training camp. You need to know that from before.
Yeah, I heard Michael Freitas speaking with us a few days ago, and he was saying we need to start having some relay camps for this 4x100, have a core group of 8 or 10, and have camps at regular intervals. He's saying no longer the days of you just putting 4 men out there and saying they're fast, those days are over. We're going to put the women in.
I think it needs to go further than that, Spencer. The same way you teach block starts as a skill for your sprinter, you teach them the lane discipline, running through the zone, passing the baton, proper hand position, steady hands, and all those kind of things. You need to practice.
So you don't think enough of that is going on?
No, it's not.
Yeah, from what I saw, I just saw some practice, so some handing over.
You have to know that you have to know who you're giving the baton to, because sometimes the athletes that you're giving the baton to, they can't keep their hand steady, and you have to be aware of that. You have to know that you have an extra job to do, and that's find their hand. So if
or
you
who
know
you're handing over to maybe move off earlier from their check marker than they're supposed to.
We're not perfect. So if you know your outgoing runners' bad habits or what they're likely to do, you have to prepare for that. And they have a responsibility as well to watch the zone and make sure
I'm not preparing for the bad habits. I want the bad habits corrected in a training environment, and we stick to what worked at the end of the training environment, and then when we go to competition, we do exactly that.
Quite so, David. We're going to put the women in the spotlight as well, but there will be a rerun for the men in the sprint relay as well, because this report says the South African athlete was affected by an Italian athlete, and the team did not finish the race. Team to rerun to be qualified by time. The Italian team's appeal in the men's 4x100 meter relay has been rejected by the jury, and the rerun will take place at 8:33 this evening, Jamaica time. But as far as I understand the rules, David, this protest here and the rerun, you're supposed to finish the event in the first place before you lodge an appeal, huh?
Yeah,
or protest.
Before you can preserve your right to appeal. I'm not sure how they, for me, this is the second error that I've seen in officiating at these meets. You must, in order for you to benefit from the rule that says that you can advance, and this is rule 17.2.1 or 17.2.2, you must complete the race, and that's what it states. It says that in both cases of rules 17.2.1, 17.2.2 of the technical rules, such athlete or team should normally have completed the event with bona fide effort.
Yes, and we did not see that.
Yeah, let me just clarify, and David and I might differ on this a bit. It doesn't require that you have to finish, because there could have been situations that forced you not to finish, and in this case there was, in that the outgoing runner on the second leg for South Africa actually exited the exchange zone, and therefore the pass could not take place at that. So let's look at it now. He's affected, that's Masengwane from South Africa, and he's trying to recover, but at this point, Dimbali of South Africa is now outside the zone. So there's no need, he can't make the exchange. He's now saying, Marcel Jacobs, Olympic champion, you just knocked me off my feet. So normally, so David is correct, normally you should finish the event with bona fide effort, but it's not a prerequisite. And there we see it close up. At this point, so Masengwane of South Africa tries to continue and then realizes his outgoing runner is already out of the zone. So they didn't. Had they completed the race, I think, David, where I'd agree with you, is that World Athletics may have done said, you know what, we make you go straight to the final as opposed to having to run to get to the final.
Okay, and they will take up lane 1 in the final, so we'll have 9 teams.